right, I think we're live, so I'm just going to go ahead and start, even though I still got the circle spinning. We'll see how it goes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the sermon you're not getting this week. Today we're looking at Jeremiah chapter 23, verses 1 through 6. Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says the Lord. Therefore, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, concerning the shepherds who shepherd my people. It is you who have scattered my flock and have driven them away, and you have not attended to them. So I will attend to you for your evil doings, says the Lord. Then I myself will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and I will bring them back to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and multiply. I will raise up shepherds over them who will shepherd them, and they shall no longer fear or be dismayed, nor shall any be missing, says the Lord. The days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah will be saved, and Israel will live in safety. And this is the name by which he will be called. The Lord is our righteousness. Here ends our reading. This sermon is going to have not one, but two history lessons. So for the three people who really like history lessons, this is for you. I hope you're watching. And for the rest of you, trust me, this is important. I have to go through the history lessons to get to the point that I want to make. So the last verse here talks about Judah being saved and Israel living in safety. For those of you who have read the Old Testament, you probably understand what this means. For those of you who have not, let me clarify. So what's happening here is Judah was the southern kingdom, Israel was the northern kingdom. When these are split up, these are two different groups, right? What happened was after King Solomon died, his son was apparently not a very good king, and the kingdoms split, with the two, arguably three, southern tribes coalescing into the kingdom of Judah, and the rest of the tribes coalescing into the northern kingdom of Israel. This is interesting to see them sort of paired together like this. Let Israel and Judah both live in safety. They had been warring, or at least rivals, for pretty much the entire time that they were two separate kingdoms. They started out with a civil war. They had some peace and military arrangements for a while, but I think they also ended pretty not friendly toward each other. I don't know if they broke into outright violence, but there was an invasion of Israel into Judah shortly before Israel ceased to be a kingdom. This is talked a little bit about in the book of Isaiah. But by the time that Jeremiah writes this, Israel had already been deported by the Assyrian Empire. They were no longer a kingdom. And so one must wonder why Jeremiah says Judah will be at peace and Israel will live in safety. Hold on, I'm going to silence my phone. One must wonder why Judah will be at peace and Israel will be in safety if Israel is already a kingdom that has ceased to exist. Maybe what Jeremiah is talking about is there's going to be some perfect idealized future in which all the Israelites will return home and they will be a united kingdom again as they were under David and Solomon, and everybody will live in peace and prosperity and safety. But I have another theory, and that is, while it's true that many of the people of the northern kingdom, Israel, were deported by the Assyrian Empire, and some remained in the land and became the Samaritans by the time of the New Testament, there was a large contingent that migrated south to join with the one culture that they were most closely culturally related to, the kingdom of Judah. Judah faced probably a massive migration compared to the size of these nations of northerners who came down. And scholars believe that this impacted their theology, their culture in some significant ways. the North and South mixed, as several people from the North were driven by war and destruction to join the kingdom in the South. Now, as anyone who's studied history can probably tell, this mixing may not have been friendly. Oftentimes, when one group of people moves to another place because they've been kicked out of their homeland by war, they're not necessarily welcomed with open arms and trust. I don't know exactly what might have been going on here, but we might be able to speculate that this might have been part of why these shepherds in this passage are being criticized, why the leaders were being criticized for doing a bad job. Did the shepherds care about some sheep and not others, i.e., the people of Judah, and ignoring the migrants who were coming from Israel? Or, perhaps worse, did the shepherds, the rich, powerful, political, and educated elite, use animosity between poor Judites and poor Israelites to consolidate power for themselves? Is it possible that the shepherds were trying to keep these groups infighting so that no one would say, well, how come you have all the money and the land and everything? How come you get to live comfortably while we're scraping our living off of rocks? As long as they kept them hating each other, as long as they kept animosity, maybe this worked just fine. Now, I don't know. Again, this is speculation, but it is interesting to hear Jeremiah proclaim a future in which Judah and Israel is living together in safety. Could it be that Jeremiah is talking about the community of the North who had come to join them? Is he talking about disparity and discrepancies and infighting between the two groups and saying someday this won't be the case? Someday we'll have a shepherd who will lead us so that we're not fighting with each other, but we can all live together in peace? We hear a lot about immigration right now in politics and in the news, and I want to say, while there are some people who are saying that this is the greatest immigration crisis we've ever faced, that's not true. And students of history would know that almost every generation faces some kind of migrant crisis. This was true in America at various periods in time. After the Civil War and into the Jim Crow era, there was a lot of black people who moved north in a massive migration, and some Northerners who thought they were nice found out that they were kind of racist when a bunch of black folks from the South moved into their cities. There was massive migrations that might have led to the rise of fascist regimes that fought in World War II. Migrations impacted just about every empire in history. Why? Because people move. This is part of what we do as people. We get up and go. Back to before civilization began, humans could just travel farther in a day than most animals. Humans move. We go to new places. We explore. We've traveled the world. I think birds might be some of the only things that travel about regularly as far as we do. Maybe whales, but they don't get in trouble when they move because they don't have governments and borders and boundaries that say such and such birds aren't allowed to be here. Human civilization is a bit of a paradox because humans love to travel. We love to move around, but we also get in our own way when that happens. Many stories throughout history have started with someone looking at someone else and say, you're not from around here. But an important test of character is whether the next words out of your mouth are, so you best be going back to the direction you came, or tell us a story about your home. We'd love to hear more about where you came from. And I hope as Christians that we side with the latter. I know immigration policy is complicated, and I'm not necessarily giving political policy recommendations here. But as Christians, I hope that when we see someone from far away, we welcome them with open arms. And in fact, while it might be the natural human inclination that the further away from you someone comes from, the more distrust you feel toward them, I hope that we can see people all around the world as God's children, and instead, the further away someone comes from, the more eagerness we can have as we listen to them, looking for perhaps hidden stories of where God has been at work in their life, in their corner of the world. I hope that we listen to and welcome outsiders, not only people from different countries, but people from different walks of life, people with different lifestyles, people with different worldviews, whatever it may be. I hope we welcome and listen to and love people. Just as I think Jeremiah was indicating here, I look forward to a time when people with tremendous differences can live together, when the people who belong to the land and the migrants who have come from afar can live together in peace. May our Good Shepherd lead us in this way.